Mr. Krishnamoorthi from Illinois.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to show a visual here. Dr. Williams, according to the CDC, measles cases have skyrocketed during Donald Trump's time in office with 607 confirmed cases and 2 tragic deaths. You don't dispute that, right? You got to turn on your mic.
Yep, sorry. No, I don't dispute that.
And Dr. Williams, you wrote that, quote, this tragic measles outbreak is a direct consequence of spreading misleading information about vaccines, and unfortunately, Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has played a role in perpetuating these false claims. You wrote that, correct?
No, I did not write that. That must be another Williams.
Measles outbreak, RFK Jr.'s health agenda and surprising health wins.
No, sir, I did not write that.
Okay. Let me mention this. On Sunday, Mr. Kennedy finally said the most effective way to prevent the spread of measles is the MMR vaccine, but he did not disavow false claims that many people have said were directly linked to the measles outbreak. And this obviously is something that must be addressed immediately, correct?
Yes, sir.
Let me turn to my next topic. President Trump has put tariffs on just about everything, sending prices skyrocketing, and unfortunately the stock market is plummeting right now. Mr. Bentley, you wrote that, quote, tariffs of any kind are a direct tax on consumers, correct?
That's correct.
And Mr. Safdar, in a February 18th Q&A at the White House, the following was asked and answered of the President. He said, the question was asked of the President, and what about pharmaceutical tariffs? Answer, it'll be 25% and higher. You don't dispute he said that, correct, Mr. Safdar?
I was not at the White House, Congressman, but I'll take your word for it.
Okay, thank you. Well, look, today, according to the New York Times and many other periodicals, even common medicines like Tylenol and the active pharmaceutical ingredients in Advil are primarily made outside the U.S. and are now subject to tariffs. Moreover, according to Forbes and ING, researchers have found that tariffs will increase the price of all generics by about $42 per drug per year. So I come back to you, Mr. Bentley. You said tariffs, in this article, tariffs aren't just a threat to the economy, they are a threat to public health, correct?
Correct, Congressman. I was talking about tariffs on e-cigarettes, which would be a threat to public health because e-cigarettes are a substitute for combustible cigarettes.
And of course, tariffs on generic drugs would also be a threat to public health as well. Now, let me turn to you again, Mr. Bentley, regarding e-cigarettes. Mr. Bentley, by 2018 and 19, 20% of our kids were vaping, and the rate was doubling year over year, prompting Trump's then FDA Commissioner Scott Gottlieb to call it an epidemic. However, at this time in 2018, you called the situation, quote, an alleged epidemic, right?
Correct.
And today, there are over 1.6 million youth vapors. Yet despite millions of underage users, you said recently that, quote, claims of widespread youth vaping are disputable. You said that in this article, correct?
Correct, because youth vaping has fallen dramatically since 2019.
I assure you that the parents of the 1.6 million youth vapors don't believe that somehow claims of widespread youth vaping are somehow disputable. Now, let me turn to your other article, another article that you wrote here. You said, quote, a question of taste, the public health case for e-cigarette flavors. You believe, as the title suggests, that there is a public health case for flavored vapes, right?
That's correct, Congressman.
Let me just show you some of the American-built, these are American-sourced vapes that are on the market currently. Strawberry Super Strudel. There's a public health case for that, right?
There are 18 million adult vapors in the United States.
There's a public health case for Strawberry Strudel?
Yes, there is, because most.
And how about this one, Rainbow Road? There's a public health case for Rainbow Road, right?
They all need to go through FDA review to be evaluated on their public health merits, which I completely support. But flavors are the overwhelming choice of adults, 18 million of whom are using
13% of youth, according to you, 13% of youth on page 3 of your statement, 13% of youth who vape cite the availability of flavors as their reason for vaping. So hundreds of thousands of children who have never smoked are taking up vaping because of these flavors. This is sour Skittles. This is a sour Skittle vape. Sir, your defense of flavored vapes is completely unacceptable and endangering our youth today. Thank you, and I yield back.